Hello everyone, my name is Letha Prime and welcome back to another episode on the World of Otium server. Just so you know, if I sound different today, that's because I just got back from being at the dentist for about an hour and a half and I can't feel half of my face. So, I am just going to go ahead and do some busy work in preparation for our big upcoming project. So if we turn around, you can tell that I managed to pick myself up a little friend. This is Harold. He's generally good-natured. I went ahead and, one morning I found him just kind of wandering around here aimlessly, not really doing a whole lot, and I decided to just make him a part of the base. So, welcome home, Harold. He's generally in a good mood, but every now and then he kind of gets angry, so we are making sure that we're protected just in case that happens. So, I've made a few more modifications to the base just to try and make sure that we have things that we need. A little note to myself to turn these chests the other way. I have myself a little brewing stand set up. I've added some more chests. I've added a very small little netherwort farm. My little miniature smelter set up. And I have some sugar canes so that way eventually if I get more books or whatnot, then I can enchant or do whatever I need to do with sugar cane. This little guy down here is the donkey murderer. He came out of the portal, somehow ended up with my horses, and that's unfortunately not my original donkey right there. I went to shoot the skeleton I went to shoot the zombie pigman, and then he moved out of the way, and sadness occurred. So we have a new donkey, we have a new friend, and he's very welcome into our new little family. I also did some caving underneath this base, and as you know, in a mesa, there is a lot of gold. So, after a few hours, this is what we've managed to pick up. So about 7 stacks of iron, almost 8 stacks of gold, and I have a whole lot more caving to do because there are tons and tons and tons of caves under these hills. So, we're going to continue to do that later on, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep getting resources for our road. I went ahead and picked up just over 5 shulkers of sand, and now I'm going to go ahead and pick up some gravel now that I've managed to make some water-breathing potions, and I will do that and be back in a little bit. Now, a decent amount of time has actually passed since the last clip in this one. As you can tell, I can feel my face again. But anyway, so I went ahead and got a couple more things set up. I have a little concrete converter here, which is super basic, but it works. And I got my brewing stand, which I think I mentioned earlier. Netherwort's growing quite nicely. And then down below, I made myself a little sheep farm, because I'm going to need it for an upcoming project. So I have quite a few white sheep. Eventually they will be turned into black sheep, because those are the 2 colors I will need. And I know the ceiling still needs to be done here, but I thought it'd be fun to add a nice little, pop of color to this area. So, anyway, what I'm going to go ahead and do next is we are actually going to go ahead and get started with our first building. Now, before I do that, let me just say that this area is not quite as large as it could be, so I'm going to be doing some redecorating to this landscape just a little bit. So, there's a lot of things that I'm hoping to accomplish in this area. For now, I'm going to go ahead and keep this lake so that way I can try and get a few more squid, even though it doesn't look like they're coming up right now. So I'm going to fill in the extra little bits of water that I don't need. I'm going to flatten this area out a bit, and the road is actually going to come right through this section right here. So I'm going to go ahead and take this area of mesa out along with this segment over here as well, just to give us a little bit more room to work with. I haven't plotted out exactly how the whole road is going to go, but it's definitely going to go this way, and it's a little bit hard to see, but I do have some little markers off in the distance that head towards District 8, which is Nerd's Modern District. So let me go ahead and fill in some of these holes, and we will actually get started on our very first building. Okay, so here we are, and I've managed to flatten out a good portion of this area. Again, I'm going to be doing some more terraforming as time goes on, but for now, let's go ahead and get started. So one of the problems that I was having as I was looking into the buildings that were built during this time period is that there were so many different places, and its history spanned so many decades that there wasn't really a whole lot of consistency as far as what the buildings look like. So there's all sorts of different styles and different materials that were used in different areas. Let's see, 1, 2, 6, 8, 7. So I just had to go ahead, computer, thank you, and kind of, pick a building that I wanted to start with. Ooh. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I am going to build the ConocoPhillips station that was in Texas. And you may recognize it from a couple of movies. Most notably, it was used in the Cars movie, which I'll admit has a little bit of play on why well, not exactly why I chose this. But at the same time, it was also a source of inspiration when I was thinking of putting this all together. Go ahead and cap those off. Actually, no, this is fine. Okay, since I'm not super great at both building and talking at the same time, I'm going to go ahead and get the framework done, and I'll be back in just a moment. Now this is going to be the basic shape of our building. Forgot one little detail. That goes in. There. Cool. Alright. So, go ahead and build this part up. Used a number of different kinds of textures. So, obviously I'm not going to get a perfect recreation of these buildings just because, Minecraft only has a certain level of detail and, we only have so many blocks and textures to work with in the game. So I'm going to get, as close as I can. Yeah, and I think it's going to turn out pretty decent as far as being hopefully what I consider to be a mostly faithful recreation of the building. But it's not going to be 100% historically accurate because obviously this is a game. So let's go ahead and cap off these pillars here and here. Those have caps, and then in the middle it had kind of this fun little. Where is? Have me with me. Okay, so middle there's one. We'll go ahead and put this block here, back here in just a second. Really don't want things to spawn, so I'm just going to go ahead and put some lights here temporarily. Now, I'm hoping to grab some sea lanterns in order to make some better lights, but for the time being, I'm just going to go ahead and use torches. And yeah, so then one of the signature parts of this building was a little, just a little column right here. It had a statue on top. Let's go ahead and build that up. There. There. See about how high we want to go. Does that look good? Yeah, it looks good for now. I'm going to cap it off with a slab so that way nothing's going to spawn on top. And I only have so many things that I can use to make a little statue on top, so we're just going to stick with an armor stand. All good for now. If you guys have any better ideas as far as what we should put on the top of our little pillar right here, let me know and we can give it a shot. So until, let's see, next, gonna build up these other pillars. I'm gonna need probably a lot more sandstone than what I have with me, but that's okay, because we're basically just getting an idea, and, well, we have the idea already planned out. It's just a matter of doing the little details. The one thing that I unfortunately will not be able to capture in this build is the neon lights, which happen to spring up in popularity around the time that this was being built. But, you know what, we are going to continue to make this area kind of as colorful as we can, because they did use a lot of bright colors. Pretty much anything that would attract people's attention as they were coming off the road, and invite people in saying, hey, we're here, practically shouting at people to come and buy their stuff. So let's go ahead, and I'm not quite sure exactly what I'm going to do with this back wall. Generally, the facades on the outside were fairly ornate, bright, colorful, The backs, not quite so much because, you know, it all depended on what people were going to see. So let's go ahead and add some glass. I have some iron doors, which might do kind of a mixture between iron and oak doors depending on how things look. Let's see. So I know that this corner right here, glass, do the same thing on the other side, and just go ahead and fill this whole thing in. Okay, I'm not going to worry about the back for now. So then, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the sides. This building did have a lot of windows, so there's a lot of natural light, which is a little bit hard to capture considering the size that we have to work with. But we're going to add as many windows as we feasibly can. So, a few more here. And actually, on the actual building, there's a whole other cafe on this end, but I kind of didn't want to take up all of the building room with just this one build. I mean, we have so many more things that we can build. So this is a gas station, and we'll get to the details in a little bit. Add a couple of doors. I want these to go on the inside. Both of them. And then we'll maybe put an oak door right here when we get a second. Which means that, actually, might as well do that right now. So, doors. Pretty sure I also have a bunch built already, but that's okay. So, oak here, and then we're going to need buttons in order to open these doors. So, yeah, it's just going to do it for the one. So, we're going to need some more buttons. Okay. One more, right there. And we get in and out of our gas station and little, auto mechanics. So the other thing that I need to do is this is a garage door right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these trapdoors to create the impression of a garage door. I think the oak's going to work best with this see-through texture. Just need something to jump onto. There we go. Get rid of that one. There we go. A little bit of lag right there. That's okay. Alright, so this is basically how the front is going to look. We're going to add in a few more details probably on the walls over here, and then, but I will work on this section right now. Let's go ahead and grab our little bit of pieces. Need a few of those, and I need to go ahead and make some blocks, and you'll see why in a second. Do 4 for now. Guess I won't do the whole thing because then I'll get your opinion and see what you think as far as what this looks like. Oh, I forgot the item frames. Let me go ahead and grab some item frames. I'll be right back. I went to get some item frames, and looking back, I don't know if this feels tall enough to me. Maybe I'll raise it up by a block or two and kind of see how I feel about that. Okay, so now we basically have the main building pretty much done. I went ahead and put some torches in here because I'm eventually going to put some sea lanterns in this area, and yeah, so I went ahead and also expanded the inside just by another couple of blocks, just to give us some more room to actually do a little bit of decorating on the inside. So this is primarily going to be a gas station with a really small little automotive repair area right here, and maybe just like some, automotive supply over in this section right here. So it'll be fun to get to some decorating. The other thing that I want to do is, since this is a city basically, well, it's a small town, but they wouldn't be building on sand or on this terracotta. With all of the improvements that were being made at the time, they would take out all of this and make it a much more reliable concrete, or in this case, we are going to go ahead and put down some stone. Because, it's still kind of a dusty area, so it's not going to be, pristine and blacktop and all of that. Ooh, cool. Cool. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and continue working on this, get some more stone down, and actually like make a little road that's going to go through this area right here. Still working on filling in that lake there, and then another one that's kind of around the corner. But you know, we'll get to that. We're still making room, and yeah, I will go ahead and be back momentarily. Now it's taken me about way too long to finish this, so yeah, let me go ahead and show you what we have. So here is the Phillips Conoco station in Texas. I will go ahead and show you an image of the image that I referenced, and yeah, I think it actually turned out quite well. So here we have our little gas station, and we have a couple of pumps here. I thought the clocks looked a little bit like, I don't know, some sort of indicator or other, and then of course we have the hose right, the pump, whatever that's called, right there. Yeah, so I went ahead and I was trying to decide if I wanted to make this out of quartz or sandstone, but I thought the sandstone ended up looking pretty good, and it would also be a whole lot easier to get. Obviously I couldn't put the entire sign up here, so I figured it would advertise what it's selling, and since I couldn't do the funky little statue that was at the top, I just put an armor stand with some armor up there, so it'll be definitely very visible from people who are coming from afar. Well, you can go ahead and take a look inside now as well. I went ahead and did some decorating, and so we have our little convenience store right here. So we have some ceiling fans that are providing a little bit of circulation. Those were common in certain places up until around like the 1930s or 40s, and then eventually air conditioning actually became a thing. But yeah, I actually looked up when ceiling fans were invented, and it was actually sometime around like 1880, 1890, something like that. So yeah, they were definitely here. A couple little tables that, you know, nearby travelers could sit at if they needed to. Not, you know, it's not, this isn't a restaurant. It's still a store, but you know, there could have been places for people to sit. I mean, just for a little while, maybe while they're waiting for their car to fill up or get serviced. And we have a little ice box here with some meat potentially, and we can go behind the counter with our diligent little cashier working here, and then we head over into the shop. So I have our little garage door right here, which would in theory run up on these tracks, and then we have the lift for the vehicle to go up on, a little area down there for the mechanics to work on. And yeah, so we have a little, you know, reception desk with a cash register here, a space for the different tools that somebody might use. I had to take a few liberties with kind of coming up with stacks of tires. You know what? It's okay. I mean, use your imagination. That's what this whole world's about, right? So yeah, so anyway, here is the Phillips Conoco station, and pretty happy with how it turned out. I also went ahead and paved the road here. So the actual highway is going to come through this valley right here and then off in that direction, but this will be the road that's going to head into and around the city. So I figured just go with stone. I mean, very straightforward, nothing fancy, and then using the polished andesite as sort of a kind of a sidewalk marker. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out, and I'm looking forward to not only building more here, but also seeing what other people can come up with. But the last thing that I wanted to put together really quickly was a list of different things that we could work on just in this district, or other people as well, going forward in the future. So, came up with a few ideas just to give either me or some people more ideas. Obviously, I will need some digging done. We could make a drive-in diner, a motel, church, school, post office, doctor's office, either a bar or saloon. I'll have to research kind of what was popular during that time. Obviously, there's going to be some homes and farms along the roadway. We could have an army camp, you know, off in some direction, especially considering that, you know, this road is being built around the time of, you know, right before World War II began. We can also have, you know, obviously a city hall and a bank and a fire station, and then also we can have a drive-in theater, which could be quite fun to put together as well. So I'm going to go ahead and first off get inside where it's safe because the sun's going down. and I am finally going to call this an episode. I want to thank you so much for your patience in waiting for this episode, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have, please be sure to hit that like button. And if you're enjoying this series so far and want to see more videos, please hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell, and it'll tell you when new stuff comes out. So until the next episode, I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.